Cleveland Browns have won 4 out of their last
Have
5
all
games.
of my bobbleheads are officially throwback. This one's for you.
This is a big one for me.
It's about to be winning streak September in Cleveland. The Indians are pulling out quite a few games, good series against the Tigers. They're streaking against the White Sox. And the Browns might have a chance to have a 2-game winning streak. Does that count as a streak?
Yes.
If it's 2 games in a row.
Take what we can get.
We can all agree it was a great game against the Bengals. But the Browns did give up a lot of points against the Bengals. I think everyone was very impressed by Joe Burrow. And we're going to see another Ohio connection against the Washington football team. Dwayne Haskins is going to be the quarterback we will be facing, and the Browns defense is going to be looking for their best performance of the season. Eric, do you think this will be the best performance from the D that we've seen?
Yes, I do, and I have 2 reasons, not 8, but 2 reasons. First is the return of the Mac. That is Mac Wilson, linebacker, sorely needed in the center of the defense. He's not a Lawrence Taylor, but I think he's an improvement over what the B.J. Goodson and the other linebackers have given this defense. And then we also have Greedy Williams and Kevin Johnson both coming back, or they should be active. Greedy, he might not be starting this game. Terrence Mitchell's been playing pretty well on defense, but I could see him in nickel or dime packages, which would be an upgrade over whoever they had back there. The guy who is really important to this secondary is Kevin Johnson. I'm not talking about the guy who caught that Hail Mary in 1999 against the Saints. I'm talking about the cornerback that was a free agent they picked up from Buffalo who had a tremendous camp. Tavier Thomas, he's a good special teamer, but he was getting torched in the first half. They were just going his way, picking him apart. And if we can have a more steady veteran in that back inside of the defense, I guess, between the hashes, then I really like our chances to kind of shut down the football team's offense. The other thing is that the football team doesn't have a lot of playmakers on their offense. They have Terry McLaurin, who could be going up against fellow Buckeye Denzel Ward, which would be a very good matchup. And they have a couple of okay veterans, Logan Thomas, Dontrell Inman, who's not really going to scare anybody. They're probably just going to you just move the chains. And their running backs are Antonio Gibson, but, he's okay. He's no J.K. Dobbins or Joe Mixon, who the Browns have already played. So I think, having guys coming back and not as good of an offense should help the Browns defense be their best game. Granted, it's only been 3 games, but it should be their best game of the season so far.
I see what you did there. The football team.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Drew.
We might be going back to that well again. I got sort of jealous.
That's fine.
Drew, how's this D going to look against the football team?
Yeah, so I actually have a stat I picked out. Eric mentioned that Greedy Williams might not be starting. I will say definitively Greedy Williams will not be starting. Terrence Mitchell has been a top 10 cornerback in the NFL in terms of passer rating allowed. This is the opponent's passer rating when targeting Terrence Mitchell. It's 46.7. He has been nothing short of wonderful. He's top 15 cornerback in the league in yards allowed. He had 3 pass breakups last week. And I think that he is absolutely going to be starting against the football team. So now we get into who plays nickel cornerback against the football team. I don't think that's Greedy Williams either. I think that's Kevin Johnson's job. There's no reason for him to lose it. I'm really, hopeful that he comes back. That has been a just woefully bad spot, very undermanned for the Browns with both of those cornerbacks hurt. So I don't know which one of them will be able to play there. I'm happy to see Greedy Williams as a nickel cornerback. Maybe he can play there. I don't know. But I'm looking for some improvement there against the football team out of that spot. There are some other reasons, for optimism, though, just beyond the return of some of the names that Eric mentioned, and that is the Browns' defensive line has been incredible. And, the Bengals offensive line is nothing to write home about. But, the football team's is a little better, but it's not exactly top of the line, pardon the pun there. Larry Ogunjobi, he's the highest graded run defender through 2 weeks. That's in the league. It's a 92.6 rating. This is according to Pro Football Focus, PFF. Sheldon Richardson, he is tied for 7th in terms of total quarterback pressures for all defensive linemen. He's first for defensive tackles. Myles Garrett tied for 2nd in the league in total pressures. And Jordan Elliott even is the second highest graded rookie defensive lineman next to Chase Young for the football team, right? So there is some strength there on the football team side as well. Jordan Elliott's actually top 10 among all defensive tackles right now. So this Browns defensive line has played great, and I think when they get some of those pieces back that Eric mentioned, hopefully somebody can get in front of a slot receiver or a tight end over the middle. And if they can, I think the Browns will be in really good shape against the football team.
Yes. The Washington's guard, Brandon Scherf, is going to be placed on injured reserve. I guess he is the top offensive lineman for the football team. So something to watch out there for with that
loss.
Defensive line.
Yeah.
And no interceptions yet from the Browns secondary. Hopefully they push through.
Correct.
Love to see Denzel Ward get an interception like he has done in years past. But on the other side of the ball, I think we were also happy about the offense. Spread the ball around a little bit more against the Bengals, but probably some more room for improvement. Austin Hooper got involved, but maybe not as much as we'll see in the future here. Drew, what do you think there's room for improvement? Was the blueprint shown against the Bengals as far as how this offense should work?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that they got that out of their system. They got specifically the under center 3-step drops out of their system. I know I talked about that last week. Didn't see any of it in week 2, which I thought was representative of good coaching, right? You see something that is not working and you correct it. So I was very excited about that. In terms of some of the other pieces that I look at, some of the next-gen stats, the Browns' offensive line, they're second in pass block efficiency. It's just a fancy way of saying that they rarely give up any pressures. Now, granted, they haven't gone against the best of the best both weeks. The Ravens get after quarterbacks a lot, but it's usually through blitzes. And the Bengals, they were without their 2 starting defensive tackles. So, you got to take some of that with a grain of salt, but they get a huge test this week against the football team. This is one of the top, if not the top, defensive lines in terms of total pressures, in terms of quarterback sacks, led by Buckeye Chase Young. So definitely going to be a really good battle just to watch the trenches. I'm really excited about that. Brown's strength, offensive line, football team's strength, defensive line. When those two go together, something's got to give. So I'm really looking forward to that. The Browns running backs, they had 157 yards after contact last week. It's an incredible stat. To give you an idea, Joe Mixon had 46 total yards. They had 157 yards after someone touched them. So another good sort of strength versus strength. The football team's strength is being able to sort of shut that down with that strong defensive line. So really looking forward to that. And then in terms of sort of the blueprint, you saw on the play action bootlegs, the play action concepts. In the first half alone, Baker Mayfield was 4 for 4. He threw for 87 yards and a touchdown. When they have that going, you don't even have to necessarily establish the run, but so long as you have that threat where the linebackers are focused on their cues to stop the run when they see that type of action, that really opens things up for this offense. I hope to see more of it. I'd like to see more than just 4 of those types of attempts. I'd like to see something more like 8, for a total of somewhere between 15 play-action passes, maybe 15 sort of standard drop-back passes. I think that's sort of the sweet spot of this offense. That's what Baker does well, and that's what I'm looking to see this week against the football team.
So Kareem Hunt has the third most targets on the team. He also has about 2/3 the attempts of Nick Chubb. My question for you, Eric, should we give the ball to Chubb more? He's one of the top backs in the league. Do we need to be running the ball more? Does Chubb need to be featured more? What do you think about the split?
I'm kind of okay with what they did last week. I would maybe lean a little bit more towards Hunt in the red zone. For whatever reason, it seems like Chubb is great at getting those touchdowns 5, 7, 10 yards away, running it all the way in, but he's having troubles, as you saw that 4th and 2 or whatever. He's, for whatever reason, it seems like it's a little bit of a challenge for him to get in the end zone. I don't think I have the same issues with Hunt. So not saying every time, but I would give him a little more opportunities there. They combined for 215 yards on the ground. So, I mean, they both did an admirable job. Obviously, Chubb had a lot more carries early on. I feel like both are kind of similar backs where they need to get going. And, the more carries they go, the stronger they get as the game wears on. So, I mean, if you want to start one week, kind of what Chubb did, and then do vice versa, that I'm fine with that. This running game, I've labeled it last year. I know others are starting to steal it. This is the Chunt offense, half Chubb, half Hunt. It's gonna catch on. So don't you worry. But I think it's a tremendous starting point. And the fact that Freddie Kitchens had no idea what to do with these two guys last year was just maddening. And to Drew's point is, Chase Young and I think Ryan Kerrigan's still on their team. Defensive ends coming up field. I can't wait to see a screen or draw, because I think we have that capability and the understanding and coaching to actually get positive plays out of this offense. That being said, they weren't necessarily screens, but they were short passes that Baker executed pretty well to Chubb on in 2018 with Greg Williams when he was coordinator after they dumped Hugh. So even if we get some of those, I really like their offense, and what they can do against this team is try to keep that pressure down at least early, and then once they maybe step back on their heels, then all bets are off. You could do anything you want with this offense. And we saw last week, like I said, 215 on the ground, 219 in the air. Very balanced attack. 8 guys catching the ball, catching a pass last week. I'm sick of hearing on the radio of as OBJ had this many catches, OBJ that had many catches. Baker Mayfield was the best that he was in 2018 when he was spreading the ball around to whoever was open. Whether it was Perriman, whether it was Callaway, whether it was Hollywood, it doesn't matter. These aren't the top-of-the-line wideouts. As long as you get open and you can get them the ball, this offense is going to hum, and you saw that last week. If we could get upper 20s or above each week, I feel pretty confident with this team. Obviously, as we had discussed, it kind of comes down to our defense and special teams. We hadn't really mentioned the special teams, but they were horrendous last week. I give Cody Parkey all the credit for making 5 extra points, which should not be a major feat, but it has been for this Cleveland Browns team. But our kickoff team was atrocious. They were returning it down to 40 every time. Coverage units, the punt coverage was so-so. Nothing to write home about. And I know Mike Prefer's a good coach. I know he's working with the bottom of the roster with a lot of turnover and not a lot of practice time. I think we're going to get that buttoned up, and we're going to improve on the defense. So I think if we can get to that upper 20s, lower 30s each week, I like our chances against a majority of these teams. Maybe not all of them, but a majority of them, Washington football team being one of them.
Yeah, he brings up a really good point on the kickoff coverage. It was the worst in the league in week 2, and I think it's still the worst in the league based on the first 2 weeks in terms of efficiency, in terms of net yards gained. It is bad, and so I am hopeful that they just boot the thing through the end zone until it starts to get cold, and hopefully they can figure it out by then.
Yep, 1 p.m. start in Cleveland. We'll have 6,000 fans running wild, given the home field advantage for the Browns. So looking forward to I like the Sunday games. I don't know, Thursday's special, but there's something about starting, well, not exactly starting Sunday, but having Sunday to center around football. It's a lot of fun. So that will be good, but our attention might be drifting towards other things. This has been a crazy time in sports with football going on. You've got the NBA playoffs going on, and then you also have baseball gearing up for their playoffs. You've got the Stanley Cup. There are so many sports that are going on in the same period of time. But the Indians might steal our attention. They are streaking in a positive direction. Previously the 8 seed, they've worked their way up to the 7 seed in a series with the White Sox, who they were going to play 1 versus 8. Now it looks like they might play them 2 versus 7. So maybe we'll end up with the White Sox. But my question for you guys, let's go to you, Drew, first. Do you think the Indians are going to steal away your attention? What is it going to take for Cleveland to sort of pause Browns hype to watch the Indians in a potential playoff run?
Well, the Browns will have to look like they did in week 1. The only way this town is going to focus on anything is other than the Cleveland Browns is if the Cleveland Browns force you to do it, which they have been wonderful at over these last 20 years. So I am not putting that past them, not at all. That is well on the table, right? But if that team, if the Cleveland Browns show what they did last week, maybe the pass defense gets a little better. We're just looking for NFL average, on pass defense. That's going to be the team that everybody talks about, rightfully so. It's a football town. The game was invented here. But as for me, I've been paying attention a lot to the Indians just based on how short the season is. I was starting to worry about even making the playoffs. They went from the 2 seed to the 8 seed. They lost 8 games in a row, and I had some real concerns. I still do with this roster the way it's built, but I'll certainly be paying a lot of attention in the playoffs. I sort of like this expanded playoff format. I've always thought that there's too few teams that make the playoffs in baseball. You can arrest me for this view. I don't care. I stand by it, right? There are teams that win 90 games and don't make the playoffs, and that's ridiculous. You put all that time in, you ought to be able to be rewarded with at least a shot, right? So I've always been sort of in favor of this, whatever it means to support it. I think baseball should do. So I'm really looking forward to having these 8 teams instead of the standard, whatever it is, 4 or 5 teams. I think this is going to be good for the game. I'm looking forward to seeing the matchups that happen, and I like these 5-game series too to start out. It's not this goofy 1 game, whoever wins it all type thing. It might be a 3-game series. I'm not sure. Forgive me.
3-game series.
3 games.
The
Okay.
higher seed is the home team throughout.
Okay. And that's fine,
Yep.
right? And I'm, that I think that makes a lot of sense. I hope baseball sort of carries this forward, and I think that it's fair, right? Every team plays a 3-game series, right? You get a shot at with your 2 best pitchers, which I think the Indians will have a decided advantage on against anybody, right? I think it starts to become an issue when you get into games 3, 4, 5, etc. But I'm really looking forward to these expanded playoffs. I think this is something that baseball should consider, even if it means fewer regular season games. I think an expanded playoffs is good for the league, and it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in these short playoff series.
Eric, do you like the matchup, Indians-White Sox? Do you think that will draw in some attention?
Yeah, I mean, we have somewhat of a rivalry, I guess, with them. We being a division foe. Doesn't go back too far. I do have to break some news in that Jose Ramirez just hit a walk-off in the 10th inning about 5 minutes ago, so they are in the playoffs.
All
They
right.
gave up 2
Oh,
runs.
nice.
They
Hey.
It was 1-1 in the 10th. They gave up 2 runs, and they scored a run, and then Jose hit a 3-run bomb. So
Wow. All
Awesome.
right.
3. So, yeah. So I mean, hopefully that kind of, I guess, gets the teams energized for the playoffs. But assuming they play the White Sox. But yeah, I think that'll be a good matchup. And I kind of feel like every year the last 3 years I've been hearing how good the White Sox are. It's probably gonna come back and bite me in a couple weeks. But I don't know. I still can't really name. They don't really have these high profile guys. They have Edwin Encarnacion for one. I mean, but we have the pitching. It all comes down to that hitting. And one stat I was going to say is, before even tonight, is that Jose Ramirez, other guys are going to have to play like him. He leads the team in batting average at 290, home runs at 16, 41 RBI, and an OBS of 376. He's been playing very well. Obviously, you heard what I just said. So he's going to be, I think he's going to carry that forward to the playoffs. Now it just comes down to, can Santana, can Lindor, can some of these guys that have not been playing well join him? We do not have a catcher batting 200 on this roster. Can Roberto Perez, can the guy we just got from the Padres, can some catcher step up and just have an okay series, just a home run or two, or a couple or a double once in a while, really help out this team. Other thing is, look at this outfielder. These are the three best hitting and probably going to be our outfielders. Tyler Naquin, 237. Josh Naylor, 229. Delino DeShields, 258. Nothing to write home about. So those are okay. Those are really good for us. But again, coming up with those big hits, making those big plays. DeShields had a tremendous catch last night to try to save the game. So, I'm kind of excited about it. I haven't been watching as much as I'd like to over the 60 games, but I don't think there's going to be too many games at 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, so I think I'll be watching most playoff games, and we'll see what happens. I'm not going to make any predictions, but we'll see what happens.
Great to hear with Jose. It's been a missing link on some of our playoff runs, catching Jose at the right time of the season. Maybe they're peaking. Very interesting.
Nice.
And great game against the White Sox. So, all right, let's get into our NFL picks. We are picking once again Thursday, our Sunday lock, and our Browns predictions. I'll start this week. I usually don't start. So on Dolphins Jags, I'm going to go with some Minshew mania. Jags are -3 at home. I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go with the Bengals and the Eagles. I think the sky is falling in Philadelphia, and the Bengals are very high after their close game against the Browns and Joe Burrow. I think that comes back to earth on both sides. Maybe Carson Wentz can put a game together, even though there's even been some questions about his knee and injury concerns for Wentz. But I think the Eagles pulled this one out, -5.5. And the football team versus the Browns. You got to go Browns, -7. I hope that they blow this game open at home. I like the Browns' chances. Eric, let's go to you next.
Okay, well, dusting that dirt off my shoulder, I'm 6-1, so my only loss is picking for the Eagles against the football team, which I was all braggadocious, and that didn't really work out for me. So we'll try to not do that anymore. Okay, Thursday night. Once again, I'm going with the over/under. I'm going to take the over 48 for the Dolphins Jags. I think, provided it's Fitzpatrick for the Dolphins, but I'm locking my bet now. I think he and Minshew should be able to put up at least 25 a pop. So we're going to take the over in that one. The lock of the week, I am taking the favored 0-2 Atlanta Falcons -3.5 over the 2-0 Chicago Bears. That's fool's gold. I know you could say the Falcons are, a lot going against them with that atrocious loss, but I think they're going to get back on track, and I don't think Mitch Trubisky is going to have another stellar performance or even an okay performance. And that brings us to the Browns and the football team. I will lay the 7 points. We're taking the Browns and give away those 7 points. Seeing they're laying that many points. Last week it was around that amount. I was kind of nervous because of Joe Burrow, division game, short week. Looking at these two rosters, the Browns have a more talented roster. They're at home. Granted, it's only 6,000 fans. And what the football team kind of does, I guess, they should be able to handle it. I know, like I said, I know they have a good pass rush, but I think Stefanski should have enough tricks on offense to, get the ball out quickly and move the ball, more importantly, down the field and into the end zone. So taking the Browns, giving away the 7.
True. You got some competition here as the
he's
the
been
guru.
great, absolutely. He might have stolen my free bag of money because last week we had a very, very rare down week, and we dropped this year to only 4-2, which still not bad for the mere mortals out there, but for somebody that claims to be from the future, we expect to do a little bit better here. So I'll reach back into the free bag of money. I actually went back and forth on this Thursday night one between the two items that both of you said. I like the Jags. I like the over. I think I like the over a little more. That is, as Eric mentioned, dependent on a little bit of Fitz magic. So assuming Fitz magic is the starter for the Dolphins, I like the over. If something happens and he is not playing, then go ahead and roll with the Minshew magic. I really like that both of them have magic in their names. You have to be on the over when that happens. Minshew magic, Fitz magic. It's in Central Florida, right? In North Florida, whatever. I have to be on the over there. For my lock of the week, I'm gonna actually take the Titans. We were on this team in week 1. It worked out for us. I'm gonna roll with them again. They are -2.5 against Minnesota. Kirk Cousins has looked just lost without Kevin Stefanski. He is the most inefficient quarterback through 2 weeks. Anything can change. It's the NFL, but that looks like a trend to me that he misses Kevin Stefanski and some of the other members from that coaching staff that Kevin took with him. So I'm going to go with the Titans. It's in Minnesota, but the fans, not as many fans there in the Dome. I'll lay those 2.5. I think the Titans win this one by at least a field goal. And then we come to the Browns, and every time I pick them, I lose every single time, and that includes last week. But I think they're the better team. I cannot in good conscience tell you to bet the football team. Even getting 7, I think that's a lot of points against this team. The over-under, I looked at that. It's 44. I think that's a really good line. I think the Browns are capable of scoring 30 against this team. I think the Browns are capable of scoring like 10 against this team. So I have no idea where that number is going to be. I think the Browns defense is going to be a little better. I think the football team's defensive line is going to present the challenge that this team hasn't seen. So if you want to fade me here, maybe take the football team. But I sort of like the under. But I picked it last week, and the Browns won. So I'm a big believer in karma, big believer that you don't change what's theoretically working for you. So I am happy to eat this one, and I will take my medicine again. This time, it's different. Cleveland Browns win big, and cover against the football team.
I've got the over-under of us saying the football team at 44.5.
Football team.
Go Browns. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Football team.
All right. Take care. Go Browns.
Football team.